Major funding for these broadcasts is made possible by grants from Capital One Bank and Chase Commercial Term Lending, the Witkoff Group, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Greenberg Traurig, Perfect Building Maintenance, Genova Burns. Additional funding is provided by grants from AKA Hotels, Corman Communities, Aerial Property Advisors, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Colliers International NYC, CPEX Real Estate Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Customers Bank, DDG, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Fisher Brothers, First Nationwide Title Agency, Flushing Bank, Foley & Lardner, Friedman, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investment Developers, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, James Orphanides, Chairman USRealty.com, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Madison Realty Capital, Massey-Knackle Realty Services, Matone Group, Mercantile Commerce Bank, N.A., Meridian Capital Group, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Newbanks, MHP Real Estate Services, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Sterling National Bank, Sterling Risk, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Continuum Company, the CUNY TV Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
Branding? Social media? Networking? I don't know. What is this? Years ago, whoever really thought about it? Websites, internet. You had a brochure, you had print over there. What was it? Today, it's the world of Facebook, LinkedIn. You find me on everything and on the Stoller Report. It's a world. It's a different world. So today I've assembled with the help of my dear friend Paul Neuman, a.k.a. the executive producer of Newman's Kitchen, a group of individuals to talk about the world of networking, social media, branding, print and media, and public relations. My guests, they include Ed Moed, who is the co-founder and CEO of Peppercomm.
Very
okay. Marshall Haber, who is the principal of Marshall Haber Creative Design. Joe Apfelbaum, who is the co-founder. I have two co-founders and the CEO of Ajax Union, and needless to say, my dear friend Paul Neuman, who is the chief inspirational officer, the chief honcho at the famed Newman's Kitchen. I was reading today, especially since you're looking for a new location, that you said you've been involved with the food business for 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your marketing, your branding, your networking changed over the 34 years?
Well, I would say there was a seismic shift 5 or 10 years ago and an acceleration.
I thought it was 12 when you met me.
Yeah, well, we met a while ago. There was a seismic shift when the internet really came into play, and it's been accelerating ever since. And really, I have a sense that it's very hard to keep up with the shifts and the changes and staying current and keeping your page rank high enough so that you're on the first page above the whatever.
You know what? Internet ranking is important. Website optimization, as they would say, is important. But PR is very important.
Absolutely.
Okay? But PR has evolved over the years since you started the company.
100%. It used to be about, can I get you in the media and an article, and that was the ultimate credibility. And now the media are 25% of what they used to be. It's a different world, and now it's one slice of the overall brand building pie. It's still credible, it's still important, but everything from where you are on search to how you are out there engaging from a social standpoint to your digital footprint and your brand. It's literally all about how you consistently reinforce what sets you apart visually, orally, through written terms, over and over again in all these mediums.
You've done a lot of new websites and branding for companies. How have you seen in the last 13 years that you've been in this business?
Yeah, I mean, Paul said it great. The acceleration has been insane, almost ludicrous. I mean, you have storytelling, which I think is really what you're getting at, brand storytelling has really just evolved tremendously. Clients would come to me and normally just want a very simple website. Now everything have to be tied into social and has to be tied into a print campaign that they're doing. And all of the marketing that's happening for a particular company really all needs to funnel out now and outward.
Paul and I talk all the time, and he was thinking of, changing from Neuman's, Neuman's Catering to Neuman's Kitchen. And, I think part of it was, and I loved the way his trucks would come around with pictures of his grandfather on the trucks. It had a great feeling. And to give it up and to go to the artichoke, and today, people love it. The artichoke is so important. People see it on your hats. I was at a steel case for the Macy's Day Parade, and I called him. I was so happy that I didn't know who catered, but then I saw the artichoke over there, and I said, you're catering. Okay, so I know the brand over there.
Right. Marshall hit on, I think, the most important word that we all deal with, and that's storytelling. The media world is so cluttered and congested, and we all have stories to tell, not just about our own companies, but about the companies we work for. We talk about storytelling to our clients. We want to help you tell your story with food. We also want to tell our story about Neuman's Kitchen, the evolution of Neuman's Kitchen. When we did the rebranding, it felt risky. In retrospect, it was obviously the right thing to do. People used to say once a week, I saw your trucks. Now 3 times a day, they say, I saw your truck. So whatever it is, whatever they're identifying with, we made some good choices when we went to the Top Hat and Artichoke. But it really is all about getting your story out in a meaningful way to the listener. That's the most important thing. We can talk ad nauseum about ourselves, and if nobody cares about it, it doesn't matter.
People are always thinking, what's in it for me? Whenever you say anything, everyone's thinking about, how does that affect me? How does that help me? So when you're telling the story about your brand, it's not about you, it's about your customer. So making it about your customer, especially today using social media where everything is kind of transparent, everything is open. You were mentioning before about the networking style of people pushing themselves on you. And with social media, companies can't push themselves anymore. If somebody goes on social and just starts self-promoting, everyone's going to be like, ugh, it's disgusting. But in the olden days, that's what people used to do. That's how ads were, buy now, buy now. You can't even write the word buy now on a Google AdWord. When we're managing AdWords for customers, there are certain policies that you have to know, otherwise you will get banned from using those networks.
But what's interesting, to add to what Joe said, is that it may be going in the wrong direction, social media, because for the last 5 or 10 years, it was all about you saw something funny, or you like something, and organically you spread it. And now some of that organic is going away because marketers are paying for social media. The move is gone. It's not just organic anymore. They're spending lots of money to pay for likes. So to get 10,000 more likes on a site. And so you have to question where it's going a little bit, because if you know that a company's paying for more likes, what do you think about that company? It's not very credible. So it's an interesting mixture of how companies and marketers pay versus organically tell their story.
How often, and this is proposed to all of you, okay, because you people, with the exception of Paul's selling a product, okay? You're selling services.
He also has services.
No, but the majority.
But you're helping people like
you're
me.
helping him promote his product. Okay, how important do you see Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, okay? I remember one time, and I had never seen it, MySpace. It lived and it died, okay? And, I'm on all of these sites, and I think Twitter, for me, is the worthless, because I don't see many people really go on it. I think there's a variety of different things of how people identify.
If you think about what's in it for me concept, when somebody sees the Facebook icon on your website or on your business card or on your truck, what do they think? What do you think when you see the Facebook icon? I think about my family. I think about my friends. I think about the things that are important to me. So when I see his company on social media, where I go to see my news that's relevant for me, and I could see them because I like them, suddenly it has more
my
intimate.
news that's relevant for me, this is being fed also by Facebook, by integrators and other people, okay? It may be partially, but I see this as being integrated by other people.
Well, I mean, I think it's what's relevant to the audience that marketers care about. And if you're in the business that Joe and I are in from a standpoint of marketing, you constantly have to stay attuned to what platforms matter. Facebook among Generation Z and millennials is not important anymore from a marketing standpoint.
There's Instagram,
they use it. Snapchat, Vine. So it's about being up to date. And so to me, it's not about the latest, greatest platform. It's how you engage with them, what your message is, what they care about, as Joe said, really important. And a lot of it's how you make yourself relevant, because there's so much stimuli out there.
So how do you make yourself relevant? There are so many caterers in New York City. How do you identify, yourself as a different type of, and we'll talk banks and other things. How do you?
Well, first of all, you identify what's important to you that's important to other people. So you speak authentically about yourself in a way that you're targeting to an audience that you hope will either buy the service you want to sell or refer that service to someone. So our speech to the bridal market is different than our speech to the corporate market, and our speech to the events market is different. So we're trying to identify the language that each person speaks, speak in that language in a meaningful way, not misrepresent ourselves, not say anything that we don't own, that we don't love, and about ourselves that we're willing to do for people.
You're taking pride in yourself, and you are who you are. Okay, certain people who are branding, that you may be branding their product, I'm not sure how sincere they could be, it's a difference.
I think it's important that people have been social since Adam and Eve, and their social is just the platform that's letting people just see what's out there.
Here's a question. Somebody comes to you, and with the exception of Paul, because he's the user, you're the professional. How do you identify, how do you go to them and say, I'm going to plan a new marketing campaign or a website optimization, or Google AdWords, or a new logo? Because, when somebody says to me, I have a brochure, I say, brochures?
How's that going to help you?
How's that going to... Oh, I'll leave it with you. I throw away brochures,
but
certain
firewood.
But brochures could work for a very
people.
senior audience. They're not online as much. So it depends. First of all, what we always say, and we do a lot of branding and positioning work for our clients, figuring out the unique 3 words, sentence, 2 sentences that really sets them apart, that's sustainable, something that they can own. We call it a white space. And what's the look and feel that also is around that, their brand. You can create a brand, but if it's not true to what you do, to the quality you provide, to the service you provide, then it's going to hurt you in many more ways than if you never created that brand at all. So it has to ring true. And what we do for many of our clients is, whether it's an abbreviated process or more of a long branding process, is to figure out what truly sets them apart and how should they articulate it so they can tell their story in the right way.
And once you have that information, once you have that and you know what to do, at that point you create a plan of action of what to do with that message. So for us, we'll take that, put it on Google, and start generating leads for companies like Neuman's Kitchen, for companies in healthcare and technology. One of our clients is MakerBot, and they were having an issue being able to generate the certain amount of leads that they wanted to generate. But by using SEM, by using Google AdWords, we were able to get them a much higher volume of leads to sell their 3D printing machines.
Leads are important. Closings of the deals are even more important.
And that's why using Google AdWords is so important, because people that are searching on AdWords, people that are searching on Google, have the intent to actually buy when they're searching certain keywords. When you're using social media, it's more of a branding. Now there are ways to be able to get people to buy using social media, like on Pinterest and so on. But with Google AdWords, the closing ratio is much higher.
You see me on Pinterest?
I definitely could see you with those braces. I could definitely see you on Pinterest.
Right, for that, but not.
I could see
Used to be
you
a
pinning a
women's
whole
medium,
board of
but
them.
not anymore.
Right, but
I think,
I see
Michael, you
more
could
on
do a
Instagram.
line of braces, the Stoller braces line.
On Pinterest, and I would reprint it.
We have a licensing division. We'd license it out for you.
And I'd
We'd
make
make
a
a
great-
lot of money. And
You design it, you license
There
it.
you are.
And I could see
14.
you doing selfies as
Right.
well, and using Instagram to put your selfies up.
Right. By the way, Paul, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few months back, and it was wonderful. And now we talk and so forth. He told me his story. We met at an event. I thought it was fantastic. As a company that would utilize Paul's services to tell the story through food and to be inspirational in the way you do it, versus what so many in the industry do, there's a big difference in terms of what his company
you
does.
met, all of the three of you met in similar places through these networking organizations, which is interesting. Now, as we said, Paul has been a member, the president, the head of the Executive Association for years, and they qualify the people to join the Executive Association. Correct. And Paul's been involved with other organizations over there. Many years ago, I was in probably one of the earliest networking groups called the 100 Club. And this was founded in the 30s. I wasn't there in the 30s. And this organization, and I would go, and the rule was one member of each. You couldn't, one per industry.
Category.
And this group, which founded in 1930, had major people over there. The Tishes of Lowe's were part of it. Okay, these were people, these were business people who wanted to meet, and they wanted to meet people who they could be friendly with and also do business with, okay? Unfortunately, and you may have met where? The YJP?
YJP.
Okay? YJP has asked me to moderate panels, and, I have to give them credit because they've done such a good job networking. I think it's the question of where it is and who it is and different models of what they're trying to do.
Well, the question is, what does it do for your brand to moderate a YJP panel? So if you felt
nothing.
Well, it could. It could. I think the
You'll meet
thing about
other CEOs
networking,
too.
when I went to the event, I had no intention of meeting Ed, right? The fact we were sitting at a table together, kibitzing before, talking about the panels we were going to moderate.
What, you felt you were the only?
It was no, but it's I think you go into networking partly because you're optimistic, right? You say, what's going to happen? I'm probably going to meet someone. What's going to happen? I'm going to meet someone I like and I trust and I'm willing to take a risk on at some point.
So
in the
here's
future.
the question.
That's what networking is.
How do the three of you promote yourself?
We don't promote ourselves.
Well, in a
Wait a
networking environment?
No.
Where?
In general, for your businesses, how do you promote your business? How do you promote Marshall Haber?
I rely heavily on referrals. I think the work that we do for clients is what's been growing organically. So my networking really comes from my existing client base. In terms of doing a search engine optimization campaign or a print campaign, that's really not our business.
But do you do a lot of networking?
We do a lot of networking, and we have a whole marketing team that brands Peppercomm and does a lot of integrated marketing for Peppercomm.
Right, but
we always joke that we say that Peppercomm is Peppercomm's most important client.
And, one of the things which was, written up about you with the E&Y entrepreneur and the fact that you're one of the best companies to work for, that people like working over there. And I think that's an important thing. It's the identity. People want to be in a good atmosphere, a good environment.
Absolutely. No, it's very interesting. We've had recently we've been hiring people and attracting great people. And the people who are coming aboard, I had one person who's been a chef for over 30 years, 12 years with a large company in Santa Fe. A week after she joined us, she sent the person who referred us and said, this is by far the best environment I have ever worked in my entire career. That's what I work on. I work on culture. I work on the systems that keep people happy, so that when that chef is happy, she's making food that's going to make other people happy, and she's making her coworkers happy. I mean, ultimately, what is the expression? Culture eats strategy for lunch. The company with the best lunch, breakfast, dinner.
Brunch. Let's make it brunch.
Anyway, but a company with a strong culture is going to outperform a company with a weak culture and a strong strategy.
I completely agree. And you know, we look at it as, and I'm sure you do, Paul, as well as all the panelists here, you know, your people are your assets. They're the most important thing. We keep our people. We were fortunate to win Crane's Best Place to Work 2 years ago. We take our clients very seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and that's our culture. We have fun. We do stand-up comedy at Peppercomm. We make every Peppercommer go through it. But we also take training and how we do things at Peppercomm, and career growth, very important too. So we have 4 or 5 things that are really important, and if people don't believe in that, then they shouldn't be at Peppercomm. And it creates a culture where people really want to inject that into it when they come.
One of the things that we do, and the reason I say we don't promote ourselves, is because we do things a little bit differently. We're giving value out to companies. So we're doing seminars and webinars, and we're holding a networking event tonight, and there are a few hundred people that are coming to it. We're doing things that we're just giving away services and information, and ultimately people see the value in our expertise. When we have one of our certified Google trainers go out and do a training to 200
What is a
CEOs,
certified Google trainer?
we're certified by Google to train business owners about Google's products and services. So Google hires us, we go out there on their behalf, and we do a seminar to a few hundred business owners and teach them about how they can leverage Google's technology to be able to improve their business and generate more profit. So when we're doing that, we're adding value to those businesses by doing seminars. I'm sure you do seminars as well.
We do, but that's great thought leadership. That's fantastic.
And that is not, we don't do any self-promotion on that. People then come to us and say, okay, how can we leverage your services? Can you coach me as a business owner? Can we use you as an agency to support our current team to generate more leads or get more branding using social media, marketing automation, SEM? And because they see that we're the experts, because we're teaching this stuff, because Google's hiring us to disseminate that information, because we have webinars, because we hold our own networking events where we have close to 5,000 members, when they see that, they're like, wow, Ajax Union is a powerful company that what they're doing for themselves, they're adding so much value that they can help us add value to.
With the constant changes in the internet, in new products, new companies, new businesses, because, you know, one time there wasn't Instagram, you know, and overnight, where do you see your roles and changes within 5 years? Okay, because of the aging, the difference population, okay? You know, you were saying the baby boomers like brochures, okay? A lot of baby boomers do, but they're spending more time on the internet than they ever did before.
Absolutely.
They're taking pictures of the brochures and putting them on Instagram.
I wasn't even thinking baby boomers. I was thinking, you know, retirees,
right, okay.
early 80s,
right.
so, you know, that type
but people
of thing.
over there are more people today who are baby boomers or people in their 70s who are utilizing Facebook to reconnect to people that they haven't seen in the last 40 years over there. But where do you see your business changing over the next 5 years, Marshall?
So much of the world is going mobile. You are dead if you don't have a mobile-ready site. You are dead if you are not pushing mobile constantly. So I tell my clients this all the time: if you're not on mobile, you're out.
The next level I definitely think is wearable technology. Right now I'm wearing a smartwatch and it's giving me notifications about my phone, and I know you took my cell phone away, but I know what's going on in the world. Soon we're going to have virtual reality glasses that are sold to the public that I could be in this room and be somewhere else.
What happened to the Google Glass?
I have Google Glass as well, but Google Glass failed.
It was a failure.
It was a failure.
It was like
but this
Kindle
is not.
phone. The Kindle phone was a failure also.
But this is not a failure. This watch here is not a failure because this watch can check my heartbeat, check my how many steps I do. It can take selfies. I could answer phone calls or send text messages on the fly. There are so many things.
If I
that
knew
it
you
helps
had
me
that
with.
watch on, we would have taken it out from the studio.
That's right, and you didn't know. And you didn't know. And soon it's going to be integrated virtual reality, so I'm going to be able to be spending time with my wife and my kids while I'm here.
That's oversimplified, but where the technology is going, I think both these guys are right. But 5 years is a long time. Whether we can go back to Mad Men, 1960s, 50s, 60s, when advertising PR really started, or we could be 10 years from now. It's still all about the same thing, stimulus, response. It's psychology. What's a stimulus we need to give to get the response that helps our clients? And so regardless of the technology
and I think,
how consolidation happens.
And I think
marketers ruin everything.
Okay, and I think Paul is the best example of changes in branding and identity. I mean, when I met Paul, it was Neuman's Catering, okay? It was a different business. There was no website. There was really nothing over there. There wasn't that identity, you know, and the world.
I think the one thing that's not going to change is that people are going to be communicating and people are going to be listening. People are going to be telling stories. And what's going to happen and what's been happening is the environment's getting more and more cluttered. So it's harder and harder to break through with a message to a particular audience about a particular thing you want to sell. I think the clutter factor is increasing exponentially. The need to tell a story is the same. The need to hear a story is the same. We all want to still listen to that story. We want to work with people we like and trust and whose stories resonate with us. That's the most important thing. I don't care if you're selling tires or if you're selling your bank services or catering. It's all about saying, I like and trust the person on the other end of the conversation.
What's funny is what you're saying is so true, because if you take a look at the classic books, like Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you read that, that's how you do social media. You don't do social media like the latest books that just talk about the technical parts of social media. That doesn't matter as much.
Okay, Adam Grant's book, Give and Take, basically talks about how people are. You know, they're takers and they're givers.
There are givers
okay?
and takers.
And, you know, it follows the Go-Giver, which I've given out a number of copies. But this Adam Grant, he's the youngest tenured professor at Wharton, and he explains people knew if they looked at the picture of the guy who used to be from Enron, his picture was the full page over there. When you took John Huntsman, who is one of the most charitable people in the world, his picture over there. You know, there's different identity and different things that you find.
I think things have changed so much, but in some ways they've never changed. Even if you look back at one-way ads, print ads 50 years ago, it's still about trying to be empathetic, show empathy, the ones that were good. Or where we are today with social media, it's the same thing in terms of understanding your end user. And not, you just said it, Michael, it's not plastering your brand, it's how am I going to get storytell and get that end user, that would-be customer, to care about what I'm saying.
But you have to realize that people are much more distracted today with their cell phone, with the 7-second goldfish attention span that people have, with the 140-character attention span. People are more distracted. So the way that you tell those stories is going to continue to change. It's still not going to change that you need to tell stories, but how you tell those stories through Snapchat, through Instagram, through 15-second videos, all that's going to change. Over time, things are going to change, but the fact that you need to tell stories, the fact that you need to communicate, that's never going to change.
So what we're going to do is that I promise you we're in our 14th season, that in our 15th season, since the world will be changing, okay, Marshall's been with me since the first season, okay, you know, and we'll look at this in a couple of months and we'll see where the world has changed and evolved. Because there'll be new implementations, there'll be new products.
Virtual reality.
Okay, and I'd like to thank Ed, Marshall, Joe, and Paul, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mike.
Great, thank you.